A furniture company starts their mission to engage the High Point community in new ways.
And the HPU Student Government Association gives back to first responders in the High Point community. I'm Reese Allen.
I'm Sierra Zavala.
I'm Shreya Rana.
And I'm Riley Mannion. Those stories and more on Q News. The city of High Point is known for their furniture businesses, but one in specific is taking their vision to new heights, exploring more ideas for the community than just furniture.
In June of 2017, Cohab Space opened up in the city of High Point as one of many furniture businesses in the area. But since then, it has taken initiative to find new ways to connect the community and inspire growth within the city.
It's crazy how things happen. You have a plan at the very beginning. It sounds really good. You know, it's got a really good mission driven, but you don't know how you're going to get there. Now we're getting there because we actually have foundational partners. So we now have Kitchenology. We have Short Street Kitchens. We're starting our own music venue with a stage outside as a music-driven, socially driven stage.
Kitchenology has become their first project and is set to open up to the community later this year. However, it's not only a kitchen, but also a teaching experience for a wide variety of people.
Kitchenology is a nonprofit teaching kitchen where we focus on being able to train culinary and healthcare students, college-level students, to be able to help implement food education programming to our community.
The community of High Point is constantly looking for ways to better their city, and with the addition of Kitchenology as well as future plans for Cohab, residents are excited for what's to come.
As a community member, I think this would do a lot for the community, and it already has. With Ziggy's and everything that they accomplished last year, we were able to bring community members to an area of town that had been neglected for so long, and it's also driven investment within this area to where we might have the probability of new businesses and new startups happening within this area.
I really love the idea of street-grown businesses and things that are just more organic in way in nature, so I'm hoping that other furniture brands that are in the city see my model as a model of change that can actually benefit the city.
Cohab is making it a priority to not only bring in the High Point community to their business, but also to bring their inspiring ideas into the community.
Cohab Space is open Monday through Saturday until 5 p.m. located on West English Road. Students at High Point University gave back to the community through a first responders event. Reese Allen has more on this community effort.
Service to others is a regular practice at High Point University. Take a look at the way HPU's Student Government Association said thank you to first responders and local law enforcement. High Point University students took to the front lines, hand-delivering over 300 meals and gifts to first responders at the local police station and fire stations across the city of High Point. At HPU, service is not just talked about, but it is practiced every day. Staff members model it, professors preach it, and students partake in it.
This was an event that was started a couple years ago during the pandemic, and they originally had like a drive-thru on campus where they were inviting first responders to come through and pick up a boxed meal as a thank you. This year we decided that we wanted to take a little bit more of a hands-on approach and really try and get out in the community. So we kind of switched the plan a little and instead it came and did like deliveries of boxed meals to our local first responders. So we're here at one of the fire stations in High Point.
Events like these help to bridge the gap between the student body and community of High Point.
We get to see them often, and we always get to interact with them. They always treat us really well, treat us with respect. It's always nice to feel appreciated, and quite frequently High Point University makes us feel that way.
This event is part of the over 100,000 hours of community service that High Point University students complete each year. Coming up next on Q News, Sierra Zavala covers the HPU student-run fashion show. Plus, Shreya Rana has more on a new tradition on campus. All of this when we get back.
Welcome back to Q News. 3 fashion-based clubs came together to promote more sustainable shopping habits with a thrifted fashion show. Here's more on the event.
Thrift Point, Fashion Forward, and Dress Summer recently put on a sustainable fashion show that revolved around thrifted clothing. All models had to find thrifted clothes that fit the era of the early 2000s. The event started with the club presidents presenting a speech about human trafficking and child labor in fast fashion industries.
Thrifting and ethical fashion is saving human race. So, fast fashion falls under the sector of human trafficking called labor trafficking.
The purpose of the event was to highlight the dark hole of fast fashion and to promote shopping for secondhand clothing.
All of us are extremely proud of the looks that we gave and hope that everyone else decides that, sustainable fashion is still fashion. It's still cute, it's still beautiful, you still slay the moment, but you can do it sustainably.
I think it was a really meaningful show. I think it brought attention to how important thrifting is and repurposing.
Yeah, and fast fashion has been something that has taken over the fashion industry. So I think it's really important to thrift clothes and find things that are a little bit out of style and make them into a new style. So this show, the fact that they were all able to thrift things or wear things that were in their closet is really amazing.
If you're interested in participating in other thrift-related events, here's a look at their schedule.
Thrift Point's next event will be a pop-up thrift shop today in Phillips 221. Speaking of elevated fashion, Shreya Rana has an inside look on a ball hosted by the Art and History Department.
Thank you, Sierra. The English and History Department came together to put on the first ever Regency-era ball for all of its students. As a history student myself, I got to check it out. On Sunday, April 2nd, students from across the English and History Department gathered in the Cottrell Ballroom for a Regency assembly that was months in the making. Students participated in historical dances and ate Regency-era inspired food.
It was another way that students could just feel like they were doing something special and decided to dress up for it. I was especially pleased with those who actually tried to do some Regency style. The dances in the Regency era were not so much about having fun. It was the early form of social media and social networking. Dances were where you met and mingled with other people, especially if you were unattached. This was where you could meet the person to whom you might want to get attached.
Students gathered from all areas of campus to connect what they had been learning in the classroom to real life. Every single person in the room engaged in the historical dances and connected in some way.
I just think that it speaks to an era where there was a different way of communication and manners that perhaps we long for in an era where we're not seeing that as much.
Dr. Amanda Allen organized the big day so that it would be fun yet educational. The success of the first event has already set another one in motion for next year.
As a professor, I was so happy to see that it came together and the students did enjoy it.
Dr. Allen is continuing to keep in contact with the Cultural Programs Committee to plan an even bigger and better ball for next year. That's it for Q News this week. Stick around, Q Sports is next.